So here we are. Prince Harry is back in the UK, the land of drizzle, stiff upper lips, and newspapers that somehow know what you had for breakfast before you do. And why is he back? Not for tea with Dad, not for crumpets at the palace, not for a wholesome family catch-up over childhood photo albums. No, he's back for court, serious court, wig and gavel, high court, please rise court. And somehow, in the middle of all this, we're being told that King Charles not meeting his son is actually bad for Harry. Yes, you heard that right. Apparently, a father refusing to see his son is not a bad look for the father, or for the institution, or for the centuries-old system obsessed with optics. No, it's a bad look for the son, because of course it is. Welcome to modern royal commentary, where logic has officially taken an extended sabbatical. Now let's talk about Prince Harry, who has returned to the UK for his ongoing legal battle against Associated Newspapers Limited, the people behind the Daily Mail. Yes, that Daily Mail. The same one that could trip over a shoelace and somehow blame Meghan Markle for it by lunchtime. Harry is one of 7 claimants, which is important because this is not Harry versus the press because he woke up grumpy. This is 7 high-profile individuals versus a media machine that allegedly thought privacy laws were more like gentle suggestions. But let's zoom in on the part everyone is obsessing over. Harry doing this alone. Apparently, this is meant to look tragic, suspicious, and faintly embarrassing. Cue the dramatic violins. Except, let's be honest, if Harry did arrive flanked by royal relatives, the headlines would be screaming, "Royals close ranks to protect Harry." Monarchy interferes in justice. Is the king pressuring the courts? You see how this works? If he's supported, it's sinister. If he's unsupported, it's pathetic. It's a lose-lose, but with nicer stationery. Now enter King Charles III, who has reportedly decided that meeting his son during this court case would not be a good look. Which is fascinating, because since when did seeing your child privately become a PR scandal? This wouldn't have been a balcony appearance. No trumpets, no waving crowds, just a quiet private meeting between a father and son. Possibly in a room with too many antique chairs and one deeply judgmental portrait. But apparently even that was too risky. Because optics, yes, optics, the monarchy's favourite child, fed daily, never neglected, always prioritised, and before anyone says, well, the king is avoiding public appearances altogether, yes, we know. But last time I checked, a private meeting behind closed doors does not require flashbulbs, press releases, or a commemorative plate. Still, royal commentators insist that Charles is doing this for Harry's own good, which is a bit like saying, I'm ignoring you because I care. Now, let's talk about the commentary, because this is where things get truly impressive in a mental gymnastics sort of way. Royal expert Rupert Bell, speaking on Talk TV with Mark Dolan, suggested that this whole situation is not a good look for Harry. According to him, the case is make or break, the evidence may be questioned, and Harry is experiencing a lonely moment, much of it of his own doing. Which is commentator speak for. Yes, this is hard for him, but let's make sure he knows it's still his fault. Harry could discover fire tomorrow, and someone would say, well, yes, but did he have to strike the flint that way? The idea that Harry is alone keeps being repeated like a cursed chorus. Alone, alone, alone. Except he's not. He is supported by people who know exactly what media intrusion feels like, including Elton John and his husband, David Furnish. Elton John, a man who has survived decades of press nonsense and still managed to wear glasses bigger than most studio apartments. He's also joined by Liz Hurley, Sadie Frost, campaigner Doreen Lawrence, and politician Simon Hughes. That's not a lonely man. That's a support group with better wardrobes than most award shows. But somehow the absence of royal relatives eclipses all of that. Because if you're not supported by that specific family, it doesn't count. Apparently. Now let's address the claim that this case is make or break for Harry. Why is it always make or break with him? He eats cereal, make or break. He blinks, make or break. He breathes, experts divided. Harry is challenging alleged unlawful practices like phone hacking, accessing confidential records, and hiring private investigators. These are not conspiracy theories scribbled on napkins. These are issues that Britain has already admitted existed. We had inquiries, we had scandals, we had entire newspapers shut down. But when Harry says, "Hey, this happened to me too," suddenly it's controversial. The commentary also loves to stress that King Charles avoiding Harry is about not wanting to look like he's interfering in the judicial process. Which is fair, except no one is asking the king to call the judge and say, "Go easy on my boy." We're talking about a private human interaction, the kind that happens millions of times every day without collapsing democracy. But here's the real irony. By not meeting Harry, the monarchy has created far worse optics. Because now the image is of a son returning home under immense pressure, facing powerful institutions, while his father keeps his distance like Harry's carrying bad Wi-Fi. And instead of asking whether that looks cold, we're told it looks bad for Harry. Amazing. There's also this recurring theme that reconciliation is possible, just not right now. Not while Harry is in court. Not while he's actively holding powerful entities accountable. So reconciliation is available once he stops doing the inconvenient thing. That's not reconciliation. That's a ceasefire with conditions. And let's talk about the idea that Harry brought this on himself. Did Harry invent phone hacking? Did Harry hire private investigators? Did Harry write invasive headlines about his own wife? No, he responded to it. But responding is apparently worse than committing the act. A fascinating moral framework. The phrase "of his own doing" keeps popping up, as if Harry woke up one morning and thought, "You know what would be fun? Years of litigation, public scrutiny, and family estrangement." Yes, sounds like a blast. Now, here's where things get unintentionally hilarious. Harry is accused of being dramatic, yet the press reaction to his existence could qualify for Olympic medals in overreaction. Harry goes to court, obsessed. Harry stays quiet. Suspicious. Harry smiles, calculated. Harry looks serious, unhinged. At this point, Harry could rescue a kitten, and someone would ask whether the kitten had signed an NDA. What really seems to bother people is not the case itself, but the precedent. If Harry succeeds, it sends a message that powerful media organisations can be challenged not just by politicians or corporations, but by individuals. And that idea terrifies certain corners of the establishment. So instead, the focus shifts, away from alleged unlawful practices, away from accountability, and straight onto Harry's personal life, his family relationships, and whether his father popped by for a cup of tea. It's Deflection with a posh accent. And the loneliness narrative? Let's be honest, it's being used as a warning, a cautionary tale. This is what happens when you speak out. But history tells us something very different. Every major shift in accountability started with someone being isolated, mocked and dismissed. Harry standing in court without royal backup is not weakness, it's consistency. He said he would do this, he's doing it, no matter how uncomfortable it makes people. So is this really not a good look for Harry? A man facing alleged wrongdoing head-on. A man supported by credible co-claimants. A man choosing law over silence. If that's a bad look, then we need to seriously reassess our definition of integrity. And maybe, just maybe, the real discomfort comes from the fact that Harry is reminding everyone that titles don't exempt anyone from the law, and institutions don't get a free pass simply because they're powerful. Harry may be walking into that courtroom without a royal escort, but he's walking in with something far more dangerous to the status quo: persistence. And persistence, as history shows us, tends to outlast optics every single time. So, while commentators debate appearances and palace strategies, Harry is doing something radically unfashionable, letting the courts decide. No spin, no leaks, no anonymous briefings, just evidence, arguments, and accountability. Funny how that's suddenly controversial. If you enjoyed this breakdown, and if you like your royal commentary with facts, perspective, and a healthy dose of sarcasm, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support keeps this channel independent, outspoken, and gloriously allergic to nonsense. And if you'd like to go one step further, hit super thanks, because unlike certain tabloids, we don't survive on fictional outrage alone. See you in the next one.